Have you ever reacted so fast to something that you later regretted it? What if I told you that wasn't just an emotional outburst, but a hidden trigger controlling you? Emotions don't just show up out of nowhere. There's always a reason behind them, even if we don't realize it right away. That's why today, we're diving into one of the most important steps in emotional mastery: identifying your triggers. Have you ever had a moment where someone said something small, and suddenly you felt a wave of anger or sadness? Maybe a friend didn't text back, and now your mind is racing with thoughts about being ignored, or you're stuck in traffic. And instead of just waiting, you feel like you're ready to explode. These reactions don't come from nowhere. They come from triggers, deep-rooted experiences, past wounds, or even everyday stress that sets off an emotional chain reaction. The problem is, when we don't recognize our triggers, we let them control us. But when we do, we gain power over them. Think of it like this. Triggers are like hidden buttons in your mind. When something presses them, it sends a signal that tells your brain how to react. But what if instead of letting those buttons control you, you could rewire them? The first step is awareness. Pay attention to the moments when you feel an intense emotional reaction. Ask yourself, what just happened? What was I thinking? Have I felt this way before? Often, the emotion we feel in the moment is connected to something much deeper, something from our past or an unmet need. For example, let's say your boss gives you some constructive criticism, and suddenly, you feel like you failed. The feedback itself wasn't personal, so why does it feel that way? Well, maybe as a child you were made to feel like mistakes weren't okay. Maybe you grew up in an environment where being perfect was expected, and now, that old belief is resurfacing. Or maybe your partner forgets to check in with you during the day, and you immediately feel unloved or unimportant. But is that really true? Or could it be that in the past, you experienced neglect in some way, and this moment just reminded you of it? Understanding our triggers doesn't mean we have to relive old wounds. It means we can start healing them. When we stop treating every emotional reaction as a random event and start seeing the patterns behind them, we take back control. So, how do we do that? Start keeping track of your emotional reactions. When something upsets you, write it down. What happened? What were you feeling? What thoughts ran through your head? Over time, you'll start to see patterns. Dig deeper. Once you notice a pattern, ask yourself, where might this be coming from? Is this emotion about the present moment, or is it connected to something deeper? Pause before reacting. When you feel triggered, take a moment to breathe. Remind yourself that not every emotion requires an immediate response. Sometimes just acknowledging that you're triggered is enough to prevent an overreaction. Reframe the situation. If you recognize a trigger, ask yourself, what's another way to look at this? If your friend doesn't text back, could it be that they're just busy? If your boss critiques your work, could it be an opportunity for growth instead of a failure? Triggers lose their power when we stop reacting on autopilot. Instead of letting them take over, we can slow down, observe what's happening, and choose a different response. This is where true emotional mastery begins. It's not about avoiding emotions, it's about understanding them. And the more we understand, the more we control how we respond to life. In the next episode, we'll explore powerful techniques for emotional regulation so you can stay calm, even in the most stressful situations. Make sure to subscribe and follow so you don't miss the next step in mastering your emotions. This journey is just getting started.